Hi and welcome to CSM TAC, my new channel. I'm Peter Briggs and I'm here to teach you about leadership. So, without further ado, my first video is going to be on self-awareness, one of the most important parts of being a leader. So first and foremost, I must talk to you about the aims of this video. What we need to do today is we're going to analyse the importance of being self-aware and how that self-awareness affects your own behaviour. We will then understand how that behaviour then impacts on other individuals and how you can adapt your behaviour to improve your relationships with your team and the people around you. Finally, we'll talk about reflection and how you can use it to become a better leader. Let's have a look at the concept of self-awareness. What does self-awareness mean? Who are we as individuals, and what makes you, you? We all have feelings and desires, motivations and experiences that have shaped our thoughts and actions previously. Understanding how all those qualities and beliefs shape us is, to me anyway, the best starting point from any leader. Look inside yourself and figure out who you are, what you believe in, and how you can be a better person and leader before you can start leading others. We need to be aware of how our behaviours impact on others and influence our decisions, and we should also learn how others influence us and impact on our decisions. Being self-aware can help support us to understand our emotions and the emotions of others better, allowing you to interact with your team or external parties and get the most from every conversation. Being honest with yourself is the key to understanding how you feel and why. Break down what has made you feel a certain way and develop your understanding of how you can avoid confrontations when triggered. Work and being a leader should be fun and challenging. Understanding how you can maximise your own talents will allow you to know what your limits are, and especially the limits of those people that work with you. You should allow you to flex yourself and your team in order to push when it's needed and relax when you have the opportunity. Understanding your own limits and the limits of your team and how far you can push yourself will really make you feel more relaxed and enjoy your job more. This also allows you to concentrate on what is truly required and learn what is important and what isn't, which is key when we come to learn about time management tools. We can become better leaders and be better overall by knowing what energizes us and what doesn't, allowing you to focus and exploit your skill sets better and show others what you can do for them. So let's talk about some of the tools you can use to become more self-aware. One of the first you can use is Psychometric Tools. These are a collection of online tests that you can do yourself in the comfort of your own home, and they cover a vast amount of information that can help you build a picture of yourself in almost any situation. I will link a number of different tests that you can undertake in the description below. However, I will now go on to describe some of the tests that you can undertake. We'll start with MTQ48. It's a tool that uses 48 questions to calculate your mental toughness or resilience. This can be used to describe the mindset that every person adopts in everything they do, and is closely related to qualities such as character resilience and grit and determination. TWOI, or the Team Working Orientation Inventory, is mainly a tool to be used by a manager or leader on their team, allowing a quick and reliable way to identify important strengths or weaknesses in the way that their team operates. TWOI is based on 5 elements, recognised as key attributes in a high-performance team. Each of these attributes has 2 subscales. The core elements are common goals and objectives, effective communication, continuous improvement, working together, and engaging with success. The ILM 72 is a unique 72-question psychometric tool which enables users to assess leadership styles and effectiveness before and after an event, such as a training and development or coaching program. It is a result of a major study carried out by AQR in association with ILM. It looked at over 50 leadership models and found that they all had their origins in the same components, 6 scales which represented different aspects of different leadership styles. The go-to psychometric tool is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI, and it looks at personalities based on 4 fundamental dimensions of individual difference to create 16 personality type profiles. You've got extroverts or introverts, sensing or intuition, thinking and feeling, and judging and perceiving. The insights gained provide a framework of tackling a wealth of issues that can be applied to both professional and private areas. There are far more psychometric tools out there that I can even include in this video. However, you should go online, have a look in the description, and try a couple out yourself. Just see what you can find. My issue with psychometric tools are that they're normally based on time and space, and your attitude at that moment influences your decisions. Might not be how you feel the majority of the time, as often with these types of tests, they're subjective and only guides. I do not feel comfortable pigeonholing people into boxes. This often stifles what we're trying to achieve. This is the reason why theories like this are just theories and not always practical in the real world. Let's now move on to self-reflection tools. Using a journal is a great way to reflect on the experiences that you've encountered. How this differs from a diary is the analysis conducted by yourself of the decisions during those experiences. Did you do it right? Did the outcome actually achieve your aim? Could you have done it better? What would you do next time? All these questions and more can be applied to your journal. There's plenty of writing journal websites on the internet, and they can show you your structure on how you can be a better journal writer. Plus, there are a great number of tools, including OneNote on Microsoft Outlook. These tie nicely into your emails, where you can store and record your interactions. You can also use Gibbs' learning cycle as the basis for your reflection. Another great way to write a journal is to use the STAR system. Start with situation, what were you asked to do, why, and by whom. You move on to the task. This details what your purpose and with the plan of the actions you're going to undertake, with the explanation of why you're going to do things in a certain way and what elements of the plan had to be done in a certain order. The action. Walk through what you did or were you doing. Result. What was the outcome of the work carried out? Was it a success or failure? Who provided feedback? Then you've got reflection. Did it go to plan? Did the outcome of the activity run as you expected? What would you have done? And what would you change in the future? Again, there are many different ways to write reflectively. Look at how you want to use it and write it that way. Listening to your inner voice is a great way to complement writing a journal. Just talking to yourself, going over the activity of the day, just to understand what has happened before you write it down into your journal. Mindfulness can help prepare for important events as well as reflection. In the army, we would call this a Condor Moment, taking the time to pause and reflect before going on to do something, normally a tactical decision. Taking a moment to calculate all variables before making your decision doesn't have to take very long, and sometimes the longer you take, the less of a decision has to be made that's been taken out of your hands. However, with careful consideration and reflection prior to the event, you can almost give yourself a second chance of completing the task at hand. Coaching tools can aid development of self-awareness, and some of the tools that we use are as follows. Johari window is designed to be a self-awareness and personal development tool, whereby you enter relevant information into the window panes. The exercise allows someone to pick from a preordained number of objectives, which are closely describe their own personality. The subject's peers then use the same list to pick out the same number of objectives to describe the subject, and these are entered into the 4 quadrants of the window. The arena area, or sometimes called the open area, would contain all the objectives known by the subject and the peers. This shows the subject and peers accepted these skills and characteristics of the subject. A blind spot would contain all the objectives not selected by the subject and only by the peers. This represents information on what the subject doesn't comprehend about themselves. Hidden area, or the facade, would be the objectives selected by the subject and not by the peers, and these could either show the things that the peers are unaware of or they don't believe are true. Unknown are all the other remaining objectives. This process can be enlightening depending on the objectives, and there are plenty that we can use and found on the internet. The Wheel of Life is often used as a coaching tool. However, it can provide a great insight into self-awareness. The wheel is broken up into slices, which are categorized as important to the subject, and then a scoring system is used to reflect and rate your satisfaction out of 10, 1 being the lowest and the closest to the center, with 10 being the highest on the rim of the circle. Scores higher than 8 show satisfaction in these areas, and between 5 and 7, these show that you need to engage more, and these areas could be opportunities to grow. Less than 4 are areas of concern, and they're clearly unsatisfied. These are where changes need to be made and explored. New opportunities are to be exploited, and chances made available. You can also mark on there where you would like to be in the future, allowing you to consider planning and life changes, which will succeed in changing the wheel of life incrementally rather than making wholesale changes immediately. The personal SWOT is something that's often used by many managers and leaders. Not only those in self-reflection, but also as a planning tool. SWOT is a very simple table divided into 4 parts: strengths and weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. Utilising this very simple system, you can highlight areas that are missing and things that might worry you in the future. However, I'm a big believer that understanding the threats and weaknesses can improve you as a leader and as a team as a whole. Whenever I see a SWOT analysis, my question is always how I will move the weaknesses or threats into the strengths and opportunities box. Often, it's just a question of perspective. If we look at our current pandemic issue, which is definitely a threat, how are as businesses turning these into opportunities? Rolls-Royce changed their factories to build ventilators. Clothing companies made face covers rather than fashionable clothing. Always look to maintain your strength and maximise them, whilst understanding your weakness and attempting to make them your strengths. This is how a good leader develops. When developing your self-awareness, consider your appraisals, especially from line managers. Dissect your formal feedback line by line if necessary, but do not look at this negatively. Choose to develop on the theme suggested. Use your informal feedback from colleagues and customers, but understand that an inflated ego doesn't help you develop. 360 feedback is a great way to take formal review from a large number of people, and should aim to have at least 4 returns here: a customer, a stakeholder, a line manager, a team member, or a peer. All the questions need to be identical, which will allow you to build upon your SWOT analysis or any other tools that you've used so far. Engagement surveys can provide team members with a voice on how they feel you are supporting them. This has a lot of benefits, especially if your team knows that you will try and enact on their findings. As with the 360 feedback though, it's very orientated to how other people see you. Understanding that any gripe or issue that you might have of your handling of a situation or with them themselves is more likely going to raise its head. As long as you can take the criticism, then it's a useful tool. Mentoring sessions or development activity, not unlike watching this video, will help you in the long run. Your company might be running a training day, or your team is showing a new way of working, and this is all a form of mentoring, and understanding that not one person has all the best ideas, and it's the first step to being self-aware. This is obviously a subject at the very heart of our social and political agenda at this moment in time. An unconscious bias is represented in every single person throughout the world. We are hardwired to feel more comfortable with people who look the same as we do, and avoid situations with people that don't. We obviously have protected characteristics for all the companies to consider when employing people, and these are designed to remove some of that bias. However, when we are in a room, a good leader needs to understand their bias and act against it. The first way to combat unconscious bias is to admit that we have it. Once you're honest with yourself, you can push yourself to step outside the confines of your normal sensibilities and speak and interact with people beyond the same characteristics that you possess. If you look at your team and people have the same backgrounds and come from the same place socially, then you'll tend to have an echo chamber effect. And I often akin this to Parliament, when people from all parties come from the same demographics, being from the same schooling system, from the same class, generally from the same race and sex. Things are changing, but if you want highly functioning competitive teams, then do not surround yourself with people who have the same life experiences and therefore the same answers. To get people to think outside the box, make sure you have different perspectives, because that will often make sure that you look from different perspectives yourself. Leaders and managers need to be aware of how their behaviour is perceived by others and how it impacts on other people's behaviours. Being in a position of responsibility and influence means that leaders need to be cognizant of their weaknesses and strengths and not let personal beliefs or opinions impact on their decisions unduly. Whilst I was in the army, the Royal Military Police Corps motto was lead by example, and this is almost always true as being a leader. Ensure that you engage with your team and others and get across your point correctly. Make sure they feel like you care about them, that you respect them, and that they are valued. Be fair and consistent when making decisions or problem solving. This can be firm but fair too when dealing with discipline. Let your team know that no one gets special treatment, including yourself. Follow good working practices. Allow others to feel safe in the environment that you're providing and that you're not cutting corners for profit. Perform to a high level consistency, showing that you are leading the way to achieve the aims, targets or deadlines, and that your quality does not drop. Good timing keeping is a must. Ensure that you're never late. Always set up on time and put the effort in to make sure that things work out before the event occurs. This shows that you care about what you're producing and they set a good example for the others to follow. Dismiss the saying, do as I say and not as I do. Those days are well past. Now all leaders should be held to a higher standard and should always be professional. Negative behaviour can be stated as being the opposite to all the traits explained on the previous slide. I've written an article on toxic behaviour on leadership which is published on my LinkedIn profile, and if there's any call for it I'll do a video. Leave your comments in the section below. Understanding self-awareness is half the battle. Improving your understanding won't make you a better leader, but implementing some of these ideas will make you a better person, which will allow others to want to be led by you. Understanding how you are beyond your own rose-tinted glasses and laid bare for scrutiny is very hard for some, and sometimes it can be close to the bone. But understanding what impact you are having, both positively and negatively, will help shape yourself into a more rounded leader and a better manager. Never stop trying to be better. There are so many different tools out there for you to try and constantly use feedback to learn. Remember, leaders create leaders. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. Use your responsibility wisely. So that's part one of self-awareness. Probably another couple of pieces of work to be done yet to round off self-awareness for beginners, but we are well underway. Take some of those ideas, go and have a little research, have a little bit of a look on the internet, find out what you find. Leave your comments below, and please, I hope you subscribe, and I hope that we can grow this channel. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.